Yo, what's up everybody? It's Julius DeBerry with Majestic Studios, and I got another great video for you guys. I have been making a lot of posts on Facebook over the last however many months since the V Stage came out, and I have been very vocal about my preference with the Fantom over the V Stage. A lot of people have been asking me why. I stated to an extent, but now that the newness of the V Stage has kind of died down a little bit, I decided to finally make a versus video. I've been able to sit with this V Stage now for maybe a month, a little over a month, and I have had the Fantom for longer than that now. Was it a year, 2 years, something like that now? But I've had them both long enough to kind of dig and have a pretty solid opinion on what I'm thinking and how I feel. So decided to make a video for it. If you guys are interested in hearing what I have to say about it, I just want to talk to you guys for a few minutes. There may be a few moments where I might hit the keys on one or the other when I'm comparing them, but for the most part, this is going to be a talking video, and I just want to let you guys know how I feel. So if you're ready for that, let's go. Let's get into it. I'm just gonna hit the main points. If you guys have had any experience with these keyboards, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about and the things that I'm saying. If you've even seen them but not been able to play them, have any experience like looking at videos, you're gonna kind of know and understand what I'm saying to an extent. I'm gonna highlight some things that I think are kind of obvious, but then again, for the person that's trying to make a solid decision between the two keyboards, it may kind of help you push you or sway you one way or the other. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is going to be the layout. All right, and when I say layout, I'm really just talking about the way the buttons and knobs are laid out on the keyboard to give us access to the things that we need access to. And with that said, it's going to be very hard to find a keyboard that is laid out as well as the Roland V Stage is. It got its look and its layout from a very specific competitor, and they knew what they were doing, and Roland took a page out of their book and did a great job with laying out their keyboard in that exact same way. Everything has its own place. You don't have to search for much if you're dealing with the piano. The settings and the knobs and the parameters that are dedicated to the piano are all in that area. If you are doing things for the electric piano, the settings for the electric piano are in that area, and the same with the organ. They have everything laid out really well, and it makes it easy for performers to get around on the keyboard quickly while they're performing and not having to think a lot as far as what they're reaching for and what they needed to do at that specific time. The onboard surface controls give you quick and easy access to pretty much every quick parameter that you would need to get to make adjustments to your sound in real time. Now, I fell in love with the Kronos control surface because I think it's one of the best out there. It gives you access to a lot of different parameters at a moment's notice. It's got switches, it's got knobs, it's got faders, and it's the same thing right here with this V Stage. You've got all kinds of knobs, switches, buttons to go and be able to tweak various parameters very quickly, and that really makes this a really easy keyboard to get around on. Well, if you're not like a person that likes to dig deep and do a lot of menu diving with keyboards, and you're more of a live performer, not a lot of programming you're gonna have to do, but you just need to be able to tweak to make changes on the fly. Or even when you are programming, you need to be able to make changes quickly. This is going to be a great keyboard for you because of the interface and the layout of it. The Roland V Stage is great. Now, when the Roland Fantom was first introduced, one of the first things I noticed about it was the synth section, how it had the controls that allowed us to be able to access the filter settings and the cutoff, stuff like that. I thought that was really cool. The Fantom is laid out really well too. It's not a clunky keyboard. It's got everything kind of spaced out really well. Plenty of room for the buttons and knobs that they give you. But like I said, it's gonna be hard to find something outside of the Nords that are specifically laid out per engine like the V-Stage is today. Now with that said, there aren't a lot of knobs, switches, and buttons per engine and per parameter on the Fantom, but one thing that the Fantom has an upper hand on the V-Stage on is the large touchscreen. It makes the menu diving and the fact that there aren't as many knobs and stuff on the front panel, it makes it a bit more manageable. So once you kind of know where you're going and what you want to do, it's really easy to get around on the Fantom because of the touchscreen, and that in conjunction with the knobs, faders, buttons that it does have, it makes it really easy for us to do what we have to do on that keyboard as well. So like I said, when I did first see that the Roland Fantom had the filter and the cutoff knobs, things on the front panel that would allow us quick access to it, I was like, yes, this is super cool. But it's still not as immediate overall as what the V-Stage offers across the board for every engine inside of it. While there are tons of things to adjust and tweak on the Roland Fantom, and when I say tons, I mean tons, there are parameters for days. If you like to program, you're gonna love it. There is a lot of that on there. It's a lot easier to get lost when you go to menu diving on the Fantom as opposed to when you're searching on the V-Stage. On the V-Stage, when you get to menu diving, it can kind of get crazy because it's like, it kind of reminds me of the hierarchy thing. So it's like you go to one parameter and then under that parameter, you can go to settings for that parameter, and then there's settings for those settings and settings for those settings. So it's kind of like a hierarchy thing or a pyramid type thing. You go down, and then when you get ready to come out, you got to go back through each one of those levels to get back out, or just press exit to get past all of it. But to be honest, if you're trying to program and do things on the V-Stage, you can get a lot accomplished just from the front panel because of the parameters that they allow you to have access to right from the top interface. So you don't have to get into a lot of the nuts and bolts of the sounds because you have access to those things right there from the front. So with that said, I wouldn't say that either of them is better than the other one, but I would say it's going to be hard to find something better than the V-Stage as far as how it's set up, especially if you are a live keyboard player or a live performer. So your enjoyment as far as the interface and the layout is concerned with the Fantom versus the V-Stage is going to largely come down to personal preference and your usage scenario, which is going to vary on a case-by-case basis depending on the musician. If you guys were gonna tug on me and tell me, okay, pick one, if I just had to, I would pick the V-Stage as the winner for the interface. But for me, I like to dig and I like to see what's there. So for me, I would like to have the Fantom in that regard with the interface just because of what I know is underneath, and I don't mind looking for it. But for the average and for most users, they're going to prefer to not menu dive. And so for that reason, the V-Stage is gonna be better for that. So while we're talking about layout, I have to mention the drawbars on the V-Stage. They feel great. If you like to play the organ and you're used to pulling and using drawbars, then you're gonna be right at home on the V-Stage. They're precise, they're accurate, they feel good, and they get the job done. People have wanted 9 drawbars on a keyboard instrument for a while. Usually the most faders we're gonna get is going to be 8, but we've had some instances where we have 8 faders and we have to use 8 faders with 9 drawbars. But being able to have 9 full drawbars, just like a real authentic organ, that's a great look by Roland for the musicians. And the V-Stage has that, so that's going to be a good thing for you guys that like to play organ from your keyboards. Now, there is a great organ engine on the Fantom. A lot of people look over it because they don't realize that you have to be on zone 2 for the organ engine to show up. But if you're on zone 2, you can actually see your drawbars on screen, and using the non-faders that the Fantom has, you can control the tone of your organ just as easy as you can with the V stage. So it's kind of 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, with which one you're going to prefer. But if you really like playing the organ and getting that authentic feel, I think you're going to enjoy the drawbars on the V stage more than you would enjoy the look and the feel of using your normal layering faders to control the tone of the organ sound that you're using. What would have been really, really cool though is if Roland allowed us, and this may be a function, I couldn't figure it out and I didn't see anything about it. I haven't heard anyone really mentioning it either. But again, I may have just missed it. But what I think would have been really cool is if Roland allowed us to control the volume of the zones from the organ drawbars. So I know there's a volume control, a knob within each section of the V stage, but just imagine if you could assign the knob, the volume control, or if it was automatically assigned per engine to the drawbars. I think that would have been another really, really nice feature for Roland to add. And who knows, maybe they can do it via a update or firmware, a update with a firmware or something like that. And I could also possibly check to see what CC or System X control message is sent from the drawbars when they're moved. That's something that I didn't think about till right now. So who knows, maybe we can figure out some kind of way to assign those to volume control within the keyboard, or maybe something external at least. We'll see. But if that's something that I did miss, please post it in the comments and let me know. I don't mind at all. All right, the next topic or category that I want to talk about is features. I think the Roland Fantom is going to win that hands down. It's no contest. On its best day, the V stage is just a stage piano. It's nothing more than that, and it wears that hat very well. But within that category, there are limitations as to what you should expect it to do and what the manufacturers make it be able to do. But with a full-blown workstation like the Fantom, the limitations that you would see and find in a V stage are not going to be there, or they're going to be far less limiting. And the Fantom is a full-blown workstation, and so there's a lot of things that it's going to be able to do that you're going to want to ask it to do, that it can do, that the V stage just can't touch. In my opinion, the Roland Fantom is one of the best machines in the category of full-blown workstation as far as a tool to help in production. It's got a lot of things that you can kind of do to help with, certain genres or types of music that makes your music production job a lot easier. One of my favorite features, and every time I show this to people, they're like, yo, that's super cool. But one of my favorite features is the TREC and how you can utilize there's 16 buttons across the top of the keyboard, and you can treat them just like a step sequencer, and how you would put a drum sound on the first button and the fifth button, and so on and so forth. It's going to trigger a sample every time it gets to that point. Again, just like a step sequencer. But what's cool about it is that any sample, any drum sound that's in the current kit that you're using and then you have assigned to the TREC, you can start to layer those sounds within the pattern. And you can quickly, so it allows you to quickly be able to build up nice drum loops and percussion tracks using just the step sequencer and the buttons. There is nothing like that at all on the V Stage. The Roland Fantom also has a Ableton-like clip launcher or pattern-based sequencer that they use to build loops and build sections of songs. So let's say you want to record your song, you want to record the chorus. Okay, so you've got the chorus, you've got 16 tracks in your sequencer. You can build up that section of the song however you want using those instruments. Okay, so after you're done recording the chorus, now you want to record the verse. So you can then take those same 16 tracks and you can build up the verse however you want within the confines of those instruments. And then, okay, now I want to do my bridge. So you do your bridge using those same 16 instruments. And the cool thing is that you can have the instrument trigger and play all of those tracks at a time, and it will continue to loop that section of the song until you tell it to go to another section. Once you tell it to go to another section, it immediately jumps there, or based on when you want it to go there, when it gets to the end of the loop or the end of the phrase, it'll go then, and it'll then stay in time and go to the next section of your song. And then it'll loop that section until you tell it to stop. I think that's a really cool feature. A lot of people know, like Ableton with the clip launcher, it's the same feature. Now with that said, there was a lot of backlash, or there still is a lot of backlash from people who wanted Roland to put a linear sequencer into the keyboard. Now what a linear sequencer is when the recording is just from start to finish, and you're able to copy and paste sections of songs, and it just goes from start to finish and it ends. You can't make it loop a section or tell it to go back in real time. You just record it and you play it and you edit it to make it be the length that you want it to be. And then when you're done with that, that's the finished product. People wanted that to be in the keyboard. I think it would have been really cool if Roland had both of them in there. The Roland Fantom G had the RPPR, so they had pattern-based phrases that you could put in that keyboard, but you could also record linearly. I think that that's something that Roland should have kept in the Fantom, and it's not too late for them to put it in there now, but I don't think they are going to. But I think that would be really cool if they did. But again, the Roland Fantom is a really great tool for production, and it can help you in a lot of ways that the V-Stage is not going to be there for you. All right, the next section is connectivity. As far as connectivity is concerned, both keyboards hold their own very well. They're gonna have the inputs and outputs that you would expect from a top-of-the-line keyboard. They're gonna have the MIDI in and out and through. They're gonna have USB connectivity, so you can connect it to a computer and be able to access your DAW via MIDI, or to record straight from using the keys on your keyboard into the computer. What's really cool is that they both act as an audio interface, and you're able to send audio tracks through USB to your computer. The Roland Fantom does 32 tracks. I can't remember off the top of my head how many tracks the V-Stage does, but you can also send audio over USB to your computer as well. That's a really good feature to be able to be able to plug up one cable to your computer, and now you can take your tracks that you've produced in full and run them straight to your computer, or one track at a time, however you want to do it. If you want to send audio and just record, or if you just want to use the keyboard as a controller for main stage or something like that from your computer, you can also do that from here. So I don't think either one of them is going to win over the other one. I think it's really cool that they both have XLR outputs. That's how mine are hooked up right now. They both also have the standard 1/4-inch balanced outputs as well. So they're both going to have pretty much what you need as far as I/O is concerned, whether it be audio I/O or MIDI and computer I/O. You'll be able to get it from these keyboards. I appreciate all the support that you guys have given me. My channel has grown, and you guys seem to really like looking and listening to the things I have to say. I really appreciate that. But as of the time of this video being recorded, we are very close to hitting 5,000 subscribers. I would really love if you guys could use this video to help push me over that mark. It's a great milestone for me. I'm really excited to be approaching it, and I would really appreciate if you guys help me get there. All right, and then the last topic is sounds. Again, the V-Stage is a stage piano, so it's going to be a master, it sounds like pianos, electric pianos, organs, but it also has some of the bread and butter sounds that you need, like strings and synths and basses and things like that. So you can access all of those sounds as well. But the Fantom is a full-blown workstation, and it's got a lot of power under the hood as it relates to synthesizers. There are also expanded sound engines inside of the keyboard that you can access by downloading, and by downloading an update called the EX version, or you can buy the actual EX version of the Fantom that already has these sounds built in. At that point, you've got access to sounds and engines like the Jupiter, and it just completely opens up the ability and the sonic potential of the keyboard. Again, you're not going to experience anything like that in the V-Stage. The V-Stage does have the ability to update sounds, I think based on the Zen Core, but that's also in the Roland Fantom as well. So if you guys, like I said, depending on the kind of musician you are, the kind of programmer you are, how your mind is, and how much you want to work and dig, you'll be happy with either keyboard as it relates to the sounds. But if you really want to get in, make it your own, get your hands dirty, then the Fantom is going to be a much larger, less limiting playground as opposed to the V-Stage. Like I said, the V-Stage has great pianos, great EPs, great organs. You also want to be kind of careful, because if you are going to be doing a lot of organ playing from the keyboard, you don't want to get the 88 key weighted version, which is the version I have here. You might want to get the 76 key version that has keys that are going to feel better as it relates to playing organ from. Same situation with the Fantom. I don't think you're going to enjoy playing organ sounds very much from an 88 key weighted piano. It can be done. There's people that do it. I've seen it a lot. I've done it before, but it's not the most fun thing. You're going to want to get one of the synth action versions of the keyboard, which would be the 61 or the 76 key version if you're going to be doing a lot of organ playing from your keyboard. There are a lot of sounds, outside of the typical piano, organ, electric pianos. There are a lot of sounds that you can get into on the V-Stage and dig in, and you can tweak there and do some things with those sounds too, but it's just not going to compete, especially like with sheer volume of presets that are available on the Fantom that you can use as starting points for your own sounds, or you can use them as finished sounds that you just can layer things on top of and just jump in and get right to work using the sounds that they've already provided for you. And I forgot to mention, the Fantom also has, with the EX version update or upgrade, you've got access to the ACB engine, which is a completely different thing. It just puts the keyboard in a different space altogether as far as what its sonic potential and what it has access to as far as sounds are concerned in the keyboard. I've talked about the EX update as individual updates, the individual sound engines that they added. I did live streams on them the nights they were released, so you guys can check out my live streams if you want to hear some of those sounds or see what that's about, but I've done that in another video already. Okay, so with all this in mind, I've said it already, the V-Stage is great, the Fantom is great, but just like I've said on my posts on social media, I would take the Fantom any day over the V-Stage. This does not take away from the V-Stage. This does not mean the V-Stage is not a great keyboard. This does not mean that you won't enjoy using the V-Stage. It also does not mean that you're going to enjoy the Fantom more than the V-Stage. It really boils down to you, okay? The kind of keyboard player, the kind of musician that you are. If you like everything to be easily accessible, if you're more of a wedding band person where you need nice usable sounds, out of the box, you're not going to do a lot of programming. You don't need to do a lot of programming. You need a good bread and butter sounds. You need good pianos, good electric pianos, good organs. And then you also have the ability to tweak the organ tone and the sound based on the features that they have and the drawbars that are there. I think you're going to really enjoy the V-Stage. Now, with that said, if you're that kind of player, you can still enjoy the Fantom. It's just going to take a little bit more work, thought process, and setting up to get the Fantom in the same ballpark as I view the V-Stage. But it can be done, all right? And if you're the kind of guy like me, I'm not gonna say that I wouldn't enjoy the V-Stage. I think I could have fun. I think the V-Stage would be a great piano, a great keyboard for church, where you just have it there, there's decent sounds, Actually, there's great sounds. If there's a guest musician that comes and they need to play, they don't have to know how to do a lot as far as the layering is concerned. They just turn on the piano, turn on the electric piano, turn on the synth. If they're gonna use the organ, or if they're not gonna use the organ because there's an organ that's already there, they just turn that one off and they can get the layering and making stuff sound the way they want it to sound, and it's really easy and really accessible. But for me, like I said, if I could pick between the two, if I could only have one, I would pick the Fantom. Now, one very specific reason for that, guys, is the price. And you guys bit my head off in one of my last comparison videos because I said that the price you could get the Fantom for versus the Montage M, that the Fantom might have been a better buy. I explained why I did that, but in this video, I'm going to give you the comparison for new to new. The fact that this 88 key V stage, market price, what it's showing online at the moment I'm recording this video, $4399.99, so $4,400. The Fantom is $46 and some change. Considering how much more capable, and I use that loosely, but how much more I believe you're getting for your money, I think that the Fantom at 46 is a better buy than the V stage at 43. And just honestly saying this, I kind of think the V stage is overpriced. I think I said that in another video. I think the V stage is probably about $1,300 overpriced. I think new at $3,000, I think it's probably flying off the shelves. Lower than $3,000, it's too much of a steal. I think at $3,000 though, it's like, whoa, okay? Yeah, really consider it at that point. But with how close the price is brand new to what they're asking for the Fantom, I think the Fantom is the better buy. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video. It did kind of get long, but I wanted to be detailed, let you guys know exactly what I thought. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the in-depthness of my thoughts that I gave as far as this video is concerned. And I will catch you guys on the next one later. Don't forget, like I always tell you guys, if this information is helping you, it's gonna help someone else, but in order for other people to see and hear the video, it's gotta be shared, you gotta like it, you gotta leave comments, you gotta subscribe. That's how the algorithm and YouTube know that this is good content, and it pushes it out to other people just like you so they can enjoy and hear it as well. I've also seen in my stats and my analytics that a lot of the people that are watching the video are not subscribed. So if you're watching this video and you are not subscribed to the channel, just hit the subscribe button. I promise you won't be disappointed. There's gonna be great videos, great content that you will enjoy and that you will get to see as a result of it. If you are already subscribed, just check before you push the button because I don't want you to unsubscribe. So if you're already a subscriber, I appreciate it. Just share the content with everybody. But if you are not subscribed, please consider hitting the subscribe button and we will continue to grow together. I appreciate you guys. Thanks again. Later.